managing editor Trent Nicolet. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jade. Good afternoon, everyone.
If you would like to talk to Trent, 8223 0000. Let's kick things off with a text message here. I am looking to purchase a hybrid, looking around the 65,000 to 75,000, around the same size as the Hyundai. I currently drive a Hyundai Santa Fe. Can you please recommend a couple of makes, please?
I reckon it might not be brand new, but you might slip into a Lexus RX hybrid for that sort of money. So that's around that size. It'll be might be a year or two old. The other ones I'd look at, though, that are well worth considering, obviously there's Toyota Kluger hybrid. So I'd definitely have a look at that one. Kia Sorento is probably a little bit big. Put Toyota Kluger there. And the other one that's a bit left field that's kind of half a size smaller, but I think is worth considering, is the Nissan X-Trail. But I think Kluger's probably the big ticket one there, Jade, to be honest.
Talk to me about hybrids again. How do they work?
Okay, so let me try and make the whole electric thing as simple as possible for listeners who are going, what the hell are they talking about? So regular petrol and diesel cars, just put them to one side. Forget that they exist for the moment. There are two types of hybrids. One is what we call, for ease of understanding, a closed-loop hybrid, which you do nothing differently. You put petrol in the vehicle, you drive it regularly, the electric motor and the battery pack does its thing, and what they do, what most of the Toyotas is mostly what people are considering when we're talking about closed-loop hybrids. What they do is they cut your fuel use in half, but you don't have to change anything about what you do. Then the step between that type of hybrid and a full electric vehicle is what we call a plug-in hybrid, or a PHEV or a FEV. So PHEV stands for plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. What that does, that has a battery pack with an electric motor, but unlike a regular hybrid, you plug it in and you charge it. Now, the majority of them now have sort of a 60 to 80 kilometre range. The reason they make a lot of sense for the average person is you can charge them on a regular power point at home overnight, so you don't need any infrastructure, no fast charging. When it's fully charged, the average Aussie, even in a big state like South Australia, does about 20 to 30 kilometres maximum each way to work. So if you've got a plug-in hybrid that leaves home fully charged, you'll get to work and back on full electricity because you drive it like an electric vehicle, and then you plug it in again and you charge it overnight, and Monday to Friday you don't use any fuel. The benefit, though, of a plug-in hybrid over a full electric vehicle is that it still has a regular petrol or diesel engine. And what that allows you to do is if you do a 300-kilometre drive, the first 60 to 80 kilometres will be electric. Then when the battery goes flat, you drive it like a regular car, you fill it up like a regular car, and you don't have any of the range anxiety. So I think plug-in hybrids cop a little bit of grief from some sort of colleagues of mine for being like a half step, but they make a lot of sense for people who can't justify a full electric vehicle at the moment. So they're your differences. They're not massive, but they're the differences. If
you were buying a new car, would you spend on that, on a hybrid?
I wouldn't buy a full electric vehicle right now, no, because when I do that, I try to forget the fact that I've got access to all these different cars and I've got a few cars in my garage. The hat that I put on is the consumer that is either mum and dad and one kid or mum and dad and a couple of kids, and let's say they're predominantly a one-car family. I don't, in that case, advocate an electric vehicle at the moment because I don't think they've got the flexibility that you need. A closed-loop hybrid, so like let's say you're talking medium SV, a Toyota RAV4 would work really well because it cuts your fuel bill in half. Plug-in hybrids, Jade, are a little bit more expensive, so you can justify buying them if you've got the budget to do it. But if you can't afford one of them, a regular hybrid will do the job.
Okay. It's interesting. I've got my car up for sale at the moment, no bites, and I've had 3 car guys ring me because they think they're trying to bargain, not going to get it.
Of course they are, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And
but I think if you use you as an example, right, you load the car up, you take family road trips, you're likely to drive longer distances a few times a year, you don't always just stay in the city. I think a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid really would make sense for your family, but I don't think a full EV would.
But see, my husband's got that car, whereas I do bugger all driving, and I reckon my tank of petrol lasts me 3 weeks. So
there you go. That's when an EV probably would make sense if you're a 2-car family, correct? Yes.
Okay. Interesting, because I haven't put my head in the EV thing yet. I can't.
No, so you could do all your running around town in an electric vehicle. You probably would never put too many kilometres on it. You could charge it overnight in your garage at home, and then that's all you need. And then you've got the second car to do the longer driving.
Interesting. Okay. We've got Bob at Holden Hill who has messaged in on an electric, what he's got here. I've been listening with interest about your view on electric car market. I'm going to call it and say that EVs will be no more affordable than in 2030 than they are now. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's Bob, you said, Jade?
Yeah.
Bob, look, I tend to agree with you, mate. I kind of wish... Making predictions in automotive at the moment is kind of like if you had access to the Powerball numbers, you could make a hell of a lot of money, and it'd be really good to be able to read the future. But I tend to agree with Bob. I'm seeing 2030, first of all, in real terms is only, in developmental terms is 3 to 4 years away, because you'll be buying cars in 2030 that were put on the market in 2026, 7 and 8, right? Like they're not just going to be, generationally new vehicles overnight. And so vehicles that are being developed now to go on sale in 3 or 4 years' time, I'm seeing a lot of indicators from car manufacturers that they're concerned the cost of the technology that goes into the battery pack, which is the most expensive part of an electric vehicle, in terms of componentry. I'm seeing a lot of indicators from manufacturers that they're worried the price of that isn't going to go down. And I think what the public in Australia and certainly governments in Australia need to understand is that automotive manufacturers are not charity organisations. They're businesses and they need to make money, and they shouldn't just be giving away electric cars at bargain basement rates because that's what we'd all like to see. Like we haven't sort of gone up to Mercedes-Benz and said, hey, that car that you sell for 70 grand, that really should be available to Australians for 35 or 40. We've never done that in the history of automotive in this country. And yet, politicians are saying, well, it's up to the manufacturers to make them more affordable. That's all well and good if they can access componentry that makes them more affordable. I suspect, like Bob said there, that it's going to take a little bit longer than 2030 to happen.
Okay, he's onto something. Thank you, Bob. Let's go to Iliano in Glenelg. Hello, how are you?
Very good, fellas. Team.
That's all right. I go by anything. Them, they, he, she, whatever.
Yeah, look, I went overseas last year. I hired a hybrid, a Lexus, and I didn't even know it was a bloody hybrid until I went to fill up 2 days later. I couldn't work out why my petrol wasn't going down. Anyway, It was a hybrid. Fantastic. I came back here now. I've got a Mazda CX-5. Really happy with it. But I wanted to buy a hybrid. They've come out with a full electric one, and I don't want it. I really want a hybrid. Now, I went to have a look at the Toyota RAV4, which is a 2.5. Would that be enough to tow my boat? I've got a boat, and I want to know if the hybrid electric...
How heavy is your boat, Eliano, approximately?
19-footer or something like that. It's standard size these days, I think, a 19-footer.
But what does it weigh? What does it weigh? 2 tons, 1,800 kilos, something like that?
I don't know. I don't know. I
should
know,
this is a thing. This is a really interesting point. Australians, you absolutely must know how heavy the weight is that you're towing. Because what we're finding when we speak a lot to caravan manufacturers, but also boat manufacturers and retailers, horse floats, all that sort of stuff. What a lot of people do is they turn up and say, I've bought this new X and I need to tow this trailer I've just bought. And the retailer goes, well, that ain't going to tow the weight that you need to tow. I can tell you that now. So realistically, with a medium SUV like a RAV4, you can probably tow 2 to 2,200 kilograms quite easily. But if your boat weighs 2,200 kilos, I'd be going a segment larger, and I'd be looking at something like a Toyota Kluger hybrid rather than a RAV4.
Could I say my CX-5 is perfect, which is a 2.5?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's not a problem. As long as your CX-5 does it, the RAV4 will do exactly the same thing. But when you're not towing, that's all right. But when you're not towing and when you're running around town, it'll use half as much fuel. The hybrid drivetrain has very little impact on towing ability in terms of the weight that it will tow. It's less about that, and it's more about what it does at really low speed in traffic.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Appreciate the call.
Thank
the
you.
only thing is, I went to see one, and they said it's a 2-year wait, Toyota RAV4.
Yeah, take a deep breath, and just don't hold it, mate, for 2 years waiting for it to arrive. Yeah, there is a long wait, unfortunately.
That's crazy. Thank you, Iliano. Let's go to Joe now. Hi, Joe.
G'day, folks. How are you?
Very
Look,
well.
Trent, and Jade, I spoke to Matt this morning. They were talking about hydrogen cell vehicles, right? And heavy vehicles, trucks, cars, that sort of thing. I read and I was looking at the internet, and they showed Toyota's working on a hydrogen combustion engine. Have you any information on that and how far away we are from that?
I think we're a fair way away from a hydrogen combustion engine. But what I have driven before, mate, so a couple of years ago now, I drove Toyota's hydrogen-powered, it was actually an old Kluger, but it's their hydrogen fuel cell that I drove in Southern California. Toyota's got one, Hyundai's got one, they're working on them. The reality is that I think we're more likely, let's say in the next 10 years, I think we're more likely to see a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle running around than we are a hydrogen internal combustion engine vehicle. People are probably wondering what the difference is. The difference is that what you're asking about would operate like a regular engine. It's just you're putting hydrogen in it instead of putting petrol or diesel. What I'm referring to is like an electric vehicle, but rather than plugging it in, it's powered by a hydrogen fuel cell, which makes the electricity. So there's slightly different ways of doing the same thing. But one point, mate, that I think goes without saying, and it's funny because governments don't want to talk about it because at the moment the easiest thing for them to do is to try to make everybody buy an electric vehicle. But I suspect in the next 5 to 10 years, in some form, hydrogen will play some part in what we do to transport things because for things like vans, work utes, light trucks and right up to big semi-trailers, there's no electric solution that's going to make sense anytime soon, whereas I think hydrogen will.
Well, the other question too is the disposal of these lithium batteries in these cars. You just can't dump them.
No, amen, absolutely, and that's why this is where again.
Why is the government pushing it? I mean,
no,
why
pushing recycling for everything? I mean, I hear manufacturers, I hear advocates for electric vehicles saying, "Oh yeah, that'll just be recyclable. They'll work it out." And I say to them, up here in New South Wales, we had warehouses full of plastic bags because of some stupid recycling initiative that never actually happened. And they just stockpiled them in warehouses for soft plastic bags. The reality is that this is the responsibility now, I believe, of the manufacturers and the governments. If they are the two that are saying to us, we need to clean up our act in an emissions sense, and the best way to do that is to force you all to be buying electric vehicles, then they need to tell us what they're doing with the battery packs at the end of life. Because if we've got landfill full of these huge lithium battery packs, that's just a dumb idea. It's never going to work.
And the other, just very quickly, I'll let you go. The other thing too is I saw the thing on YouTube. They were in America that the Tesla car caught on fire. The fireys didn't want to touch it. They waited until they went out there with their blinking suits on, and they just let it burn off.
Yeah, so look, there's a real issue. There's a real issue with lithium battery packs catching fire. I've got a couple of mates who are fire officers up here in Sydney, and it's very, very difficult to put out. They've got special techniques and retardants that they have to use to try to put it out, but it can be an issue. Sometimes they just have to let it burn and hope that it burns out. But it's another big issue. Like we've had cargo ships that have caught fire with electric vehicles on them and have been a problem. We've seen groups of them in warehouses catch fire. Look, it's not happening everywhere. It's not happening in people's garages. It's not happening every day. But it is absolutely something that's a factor that we need to think about.
Thank you very much, Joe. We're going to take a super short break. David, Julie, hang in there. If anyone else would like to join the program and have a chat with Trent Nikolic from drive.com.au, the number to call, 8223 0000.
To celebrate 70 years in solar, Solarheart is giving you the chance to win a Tesla Model 3 electric vehicle worth up to $70,000. Simply buy a Solarheart solar power system, Solarheart water heater, heat pump or home battery and enter for your chance to win. Get smart. Get Solarheart. Terms and conditions apply. Visit solarheart.com.au for details. Open to AU residents 18+. Ends 30th of September 2023. SA permit T23/871.
Hi, Bronte Manuel from Toop and Toop. Now more than ever, you need an agent who's not just out for a quick sale. You need someone who can stand their ground to ensure you're maximising your home's potential. There's a good reason Toop and Toop is defying market trends and continuing to deliver premium outcomes for its clients. With a history spanning almost 40 years and a team of unrivaled experience, Toop and Toop knows what it takes to maximise your results in any selling conditions. Visit toop.com.au to find out more.
East West Urology provides comprehensive care and state-of-the-art treatment of kidney stones, prostate, bladder and kidney cancers, impotence and incontinence for men and women, using a holistic approach prioritising personable, patient-centred care. This afternoon, I spoke with specialist urologist Dr. Dan Spernat and also Associate Professor Nick Brook from East West Urology. And we discuss the importance of breaking taboos around urological issues and the promotion of early detection and treatment. If you'd like to learn more and have a chat with either of the gents, Dr. Spernat and Associate Professor Brook are currently in the interactive lounge taking your calls confidentially off air. You can reach out to them on 8223 0055 or for more info visit eastwesturology.com.au.
No person living with disability should accept second best, ever. But unfortunately, when it comes to disability accommodation, there's a lot of second best out there. Thankfully, Orion Care is a shining star, offering beautiful new purpose-built supported disability homes in safe communities all over SA. And Orion Care can provide as little or as much care as you need. Visit orioncare.com.au and let's build a great life together.
Ready? Let's push it. With up to 5.5% interest available on an ING savings account for eligible customers. Your hard-earned cash can work even harder for you. Make bank on your moolah with an ING savings account. Now, let's give your savings a run for its money. Come on, do
Rate
it.
includes additional variable rate of 4.95% on eligible balances up to 100k. General advice only. See T&Cs at ing.com.au. ING ABN 24000893 AFSL 229823.
I'm Ned, and I'm a geek. I'm no good at voiceovers, but amazing at fixing your tech problems. All Geeks to You techies work on any device and give great advice. For in-person or remote tech support, go to geeks2u.com.au. That's the number 2, the letter U.
The FIVEAA player lets you stream FIVEAA on your phone wherever you are.
FIVEAA Afternoons with Jade Robran.
Welcome back to the program. We're talking all things cars with Trent Nikolic from drive.com.au. And Trent, we have David in Tea Tree Gully who has joined us. Hello, David.
Yeah, g'day Jade and Trent. Trent, you're a bit of a devil's advocate on electric cars and recycling, mate. I thought you'd be all for it. Anyway, look, my son, he's just bought himself a lime green MG4. His company offered him a novated lease. It's costing him about $138 a week. I think par all up was around about 40, 39, something like that, with all the government subsidies at the moment. And that is a fantastic deal for an electric car.
Oh, it's a fantastic deal for an electric car, but while they're being subsidised by your taxpayer dollars and my taxpayer dollars and the dollars of taxpayers who are driving around in a $5,000 second-hand car because that's all they can afford, the price is artificial, mate. So, look, I think, you know, I'm all for cleaning up the environment. I'm all for emissions being as low as possible. I'm all for governments advocating. I'm not all for governments deciding to use our taxpayer dollars to artificially lower the price of electric vehicles. There's a waiting list on just about every. Your son was lucky, and the MG4 is a bloody good car, by the way. A really good choice and really good value for money.
Fantastic car.
Yeah, it's excellent. Your son was lucky to get a hold of one because there's a waiting list on just about every electric vehicle on the market in Australia at the moment. So I just can't advocate that we've got government subsidies for vehicles that we've already got a waiting list on. And I find that
I guess he's paying tax. I'm paying tax.
That's
My wife's
true.
paying tax. So our tax is going towards that subsidy for him on his car, which is fine. And he paid for a fast charger to go on the wall of the house, which cost him, I think it cost him about $900, which is the three-phase deal. So, you know, he can charge it up. It is his car, but he only uses it for work, driving around town. That's what he's into. We do have other cars in the family, like the Land Cruiser and stuff, that he uses, like to go away camping and stuff like that. So for him,
but this is the point too, mate. This is the point too, David. I think and it's really quite interesting because federally we've got Chris Bowen, who is, wants everyone driving electric car tomorrow, but his 2IC is from a country electorate in rural Victoria. And I've spoken to her before, and she's patently aware of the point you just made there. Not just so much if you want to go out camping, but if you want to go out and do anything in a rural area in Australia, if you want to get off the beaten track, if you work in those areas, if you're a farmer, if you're on the land, this sort of mad rush for everybody to buying electric vehicles is not going to work for you. However, to your point about your son, if you live and work in the city, absolutely, electric vehicles make a hell of a lot of sense. And clearly he can charge it at home as well. And they are exactly the sort of people who should be buying electric vehicles, so more power to him.
Yeah, really good. And just a really quick thing on this towing thing. I have a Land Cruiser. I tow a smallish camping trailer, and it's an old Land Cruiser because I like old stuff. And but most of my mates have all these dual cab things. And they're all new and, whatever they are, and I'm not really that interested in them. I think they look bland. But anyway, they all tow up to their limit. Now, most of them come with there goes one past me now. They come with a 3.5 tonne or 3,500 kilo towing limit.
Yes.
So
correct.
They go out and they buy a camper van or a caravan, whatever, that's up around that limit. And by the time they fill the car, put the kids in and them in the car, they are well over their
you're speaking my language
towing.
Now too, mate. You're speaking my language
you know
now
what?
too. Like, people don't even know.
No, they don't even know. And we've done this as a group of us, and I was the only one that was under my car's towing limit. Like my GMV,
Yep.
Go ahead,
happens
Trent.
all the time. What David's talking about there, Jade, I think we lost him, but what he's talking about there is absolutely spot on. Most Australians who buy a big caravan or a camper trailer don't even know what it weighs. They have no idea.
That is weird, isn't it? That's your investment. Look, that was a really good caller. Thank you very much.
Great call. Yep.
Let's go to Julie in Paradise. Hello, Julie.
Hello.
Hi.
How you going?
Well, thank you. What would you like to talk to Trent about?
I'd like to talk about, I have a 2017 Kia Cerato Sport, and it's done around 107,000 kilometres, and I want to know what it's worth. And it's in really good condition.
Yeah, they're great little cars. I think at the moment they're one of those cars that it's going to be hard for you to get stock of them, right? So I think that, on used car lots around Australia, there's not going to be many of them for sale. I'd suspect that it'd be worth, I reckon it could be as much as $20,000, I think, especially if it's in good condition with a full service history. But I certainly think somewhere between 16 and 19.5, 20 grand, I think is a fair estimation. But again, people looking for a good quality second-hand car, at the moment, they can't find things like Kia Ceratos. There's no stock of Cerato i30, Toyota Corolla, Mazda 3, all those cars in that small hatch segment. So, yeah, it's retained its value quite well.
So how do you go about selling it? Do you have to go online or something?
Yeah, online's the way to sell things now. That's the smartest way to do it. You could go to any of your local used car dealers and see if they'll put it on consignment, where they take it on your behalf and sell it and take a commission. That's often a way of doing it, but basically selling things privately is the way most people do it these days, unless they're trading in on a new vehicle.
Okay. Oh, great. Well, that's good.
Thanks, Julie, very much. Happy customer there, Trent. How'd your 50th... you do, every week. How's your 50th episode?
Yeah, hard to believe, Jade. 50 episodes of Drive TV. It was like yesterday we started doing it. So, yeah, 50 episodes. I don't know. Different states are different because with the football grand finals in various states not grand finals, the final series as we head up, they've changed the airing date. But you can always have a look on 9 now if you want to have a look for it if you've missed it on TV.
I feel a Logie coming on.
We've got to get you onto an episode. That's all. But you're too busy at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Magic gold. Oh, thank you, Trent.
Thanks a lot.
And you can jump onto drive.com.au for more car info as well. We're going to take a very short break. On the other side, South Australia has scooped awards at the Gourmet Traveller.
This is Adelaide's FIVEAA.
Good afternoon. Mel Usher with the latest news headlines. Police are investigating the source of multiple threats to schools and healthcare sites across the state. A 12-year-old girl has saved her 2 disabled brothers and great-grandmother from a house fire at Taparoo. The Electoral Commission has established a register to counter disinformation about the Voice referendum. And in sport, Tom Jonas has called himself a Port Adelaide person for life after announcing he'll hang up the boots at the end of the 2023 season. The FIVEAA forecast, partly cloudy this afternoon, partly cloudy tomorrow 16. Right now it's 14. We'll have more news at 4 and as it happens on FIVEAA.
Ray White, big name in real estate, but also the biggest name in business broking. What makes us big? Our people, like Brett Buckley and his team. MBA, lecturer and multi-time SA Business Broker of the Year. Brett doesn't just read a P&L, he feels it. If you're selling or expanding your business, Brett can take your business apart and find you more money. And we're not talking small change. Go on, touch base with Brett. Search Ray White Business Sales SA.
The passing of someone close places unique stress on family and friends. At this time, Farrell and O'Neill Funerals are here to provide reassurance and peace of mind. Farrell and O'Neill offer creative guidance and advice to tailor a service that best honours your loved one. Whether a large gathering or a small, intimate service, Farrell and O'Neill share their generations of experience in tailoring a unique and meaningful farewell. Proudly SA family-owned and operated, because it's personal.
East West Urology provides comprehensive care and state-of-the-art treatment of kidney stones, prostate, bladder and kidney cancers, impotence and also incontinence for men and women, using a holistic approach prioritising personable, patient-centred care. This afternoon I spoke with specialist urologist Dr Dan Spurnat and also Associate Professor Nick Brook from East West Urology. We discussed all topics of men's health and the importance of breaking taboos around urological issues and the promotion of early detection and treatment. For more info, you can visit eastwesturology.com.au.
It's been gone for decades. It's a thing of the past. But even today, it haunts some of us. If you suffered from polio as a child or it affected your parents, Polio SA Support Group would like to hear from you. Symptoms like weakness, joint pain and fatigue may still persist and can be managed. Polio SA is committed to making life for polio survivors as comfortable as possible. Find out more at poliosa.org.au.
When you build with Lamar Homes, you better start planning your housewarming. It'll be here before you know it. Lamar Homes have the advantage of moving a lot faster, so it could be a matter of months before you move in, not years. Plus, right now, Lamar Homes is throwing in $35,000 for your concreting, landscaping and fencing. $35,000 of extras and move in way sooner? Absolutely. T's and C's apply. lamarhomes.com.au. Here today, home tomorrow. Sooner.
Ken Hall Plumbers. We're local, we're family, and we're a trusted South Aussie. Blocked drain? Leaky tap? Give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers. 8364 5855.
The FIVEAA Player app lets you listen to all your favourite FIVEAA shows wherever you go.
FIVEAA Afternoons with Jade Robran.
Welcome back to the program. It is 25 minutes to 4 o'clock. Lots happening in the world of sport. So Rowey and Timmy G are coming up after 4 o'clock. We're also on the FIVEAA Facebook and YouTube live stream, all thanks to Foodland Supermarkets. And speaking of Foodland Supermarkets, that is where you can buy your Royal Adelaide Show tickets. Are you ready to go? It's time for the Royal Adelaide Show and it's time to celebrate our state, our people and our produce. I've got a family pass to give away. I'd love to hear from you guys. I want to know from anyone that's ever entered an event at the show. 82230000. Maybe it's cake baking or flower arranging, wood chipping, dog shows, like showing off the cows, the sheep, anything at all. Have you ever been involved with the Adelaide Show? Maybe you worked on the rides or Sideshow Alley or sold the lolly bags. Give me a call, 82230000. Have you ever worked at the show and been involved with the show along the way? Now, we know that South Australia has just got the most beautiful food and wine scene. We really do. We're so lucky. All corners of the state, you can head down and buy beautiful local produce and stunning wines, whether it be Adelaide Hills, McLaren Vale or the Barossa. Well, overnight, South Australia has scooped up the Gourmet Traveller Awards. One of those winners, Justin James from Restaurant Botanic. Justin James, congratulations. How exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Super excited right now.
Have you had a few champers?
Yeah, last night we had a little celebration.
I tell you what, your award room's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, that's true.
What does something like this mean to you?
Oh, I mean, it means a lot to be, recognized for what you're trying to do, and telling the story of, for our case, what, the Botanic Gardens and, the flavors of Australia, but also trying to create a fun dining experience, but not forgetting about, the old school hospitality ways as well. And, when you create something new and it gets recognized not only by your guest, but also your peers and also, I guess, the media, it feels really good. It feels great. You feel like you're doing something right.
So did you know you were being judged at the time?
No, actually, this year I had no idea who the judges were that came through the doors. Sometimes you know who they are, you know what they look like, you know the names to look for, but this year, completely unaware.
Ooh, so that makes it even more special, I reckon, because you're just constantly awesome.
Yeah, I think, one thing I tell to the team is, regardless if we know there's a restaurant reviewer in or someone affiliated with, even social media, is that we just treat them exactly the same way. We just do what we do. We do what we talk about every day. And, we already put pressure on ourselves to deliver an exceptional experience to whoever walks through the door. So when you kind of have that mindset, it doesn't really kind of faze you at all who comes through or who doesn't.
That's cool, though. You're very comfortable. And, I mean, and kudos to you. You rolled the dice coming over to Adelaide, didn't you? Maybe can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this Restaurant Botanic was created during the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
I was a friend got me in touch with Steve and Chris, my business partners, about taking over the rotunda in the Adelaide Botanic Gardens. And I've never been to Adelaide. I'm more used to big cities, New York City, Chicago, Copenhagen, Melbourne. And I wasn't too certain, but that night I Googled everything about Adelaide, the space, just trying to get an idea of the bones, the structure of that rotunda, what was involved, what was the hospitality scene, what was the tourism like in South Australia, what was just the general vibe. I absolutely just fell in love with it. I thought there was a huge opportunity here, seeing what was here in the past, what's currently here, and just always knew that somehow we would come out of this pandemic. And to me, being able to work around the globe in some of the best restaurants on the world's 50 best and also the Michelin Guide, I've realized that one thing that you really need is a location. So that's going to set you apart. And I just fell in love with that location. It's not a new building, and it's completely different. It has this quirkiness. It's in the middle of Botanic Gardens where we can tell a story, and the Botanic Gardens gives us we have a beautiful relationship with them, and they allow us to go and forge their gardens to tell this story. And then it's also in the CBD, and it's already a great hospitality scene and world-class wine regions. I felt like it was an opportunity to create something really special.
You have worked all around the world, executive chef at Vue de Monde in Melbourne for 5.5 years before, lots of beautiful restaurants all around the world that you touched on. Have you brought influences to Restaurant Botanic, or is your influence where you work all around you in the gardens?
Yeah, well, a little bit of both. I think, from a creative point of view, and I'm big on creativity, I look towards the gardens. I never look within the industry. because even though you might not do it, you'll be influenced. So I try to create original, new, innovative ideas. And that when it comes to the food, it's about combining ingredients together that haven't been seen before, and then also how you consume that in a new way, an exciting way. Maybe almost awkward sometimes, but awkwardness can be fun. And then, but also, you know, the experiences I've had at these world-class restaurants, the discipline, you know, the way you structure yourself, your mindset, you know, for mentally, but also physically as well for your body, how to lead the team, how to inspire. All of those are from my learning experiences over the last 2 decades now of being a chef, because it is a very challenging thing to do, to execute. You know, anything in life at a high level is very hard to do, and you need the people around you to do it. If not, you just have an idea in your head. So it's a little bit of yes and no to the experiences I've had in the past.
You strike me as someone that always needs to challenge themselves. What's next for you?
Well, still, I think the biggest challenge and the one goal, and, you know, always set the goals as high as possible. And, you know, the cliche, like, if you don't aim for the moon, but if you don't, you're still in the stars. You know, for me, it wasn't just to come to Adelaide to open up a great restaurant. I wanted to come to open up an exceptional restaurant that brought people to this beautiful city and state, that can spend the weekend or the week here and see what we have to offer. I love South Australia. Like, this is my home. And it, you know, it takes, you know, I do believe one restaurant can change an identity. I've seen it happen across many cities over the last 10, 15 years. And so my biggest challenge is to do that. You know, we're in Australia, which is a little bit further away than everything else in the world. And then once you're in Australia, Adelaide's a little bit more remote than your bigger cities of Melbourne and Sydney, of course. And so that's my biggest challenge, is to keep pushing, to be consistent, have fun, continuously innovate and create new things. And I think if you build it, they will come. And that's my challenge to myself. And so I don't feel like I'm there yet. We've accomplished